Hey guys, just want to show you a quick tutorial on how to create the Rio Olympics 2016 logo. Maybe you're trying to figure out how to create it just for fun. Alright, looking at it, it seems that the logo consists of about 16 different size shaped circles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright, let's just undo that to put it back together. Alright, so forming the circles is not something difficult. You just grab your lasso tool, drag, grab your rotate tool, pressing the R key on your keyboard and rotating it as necessary, and then using the skew, the shade tool, and just shaping it accordingly or at the angle that it needs to be on, and then R2 you rotate, and then rotate it to your liking. Now once you've arranged it, scaled those circles, it's now time for the fun part. Alright, what you do is, I'm just gonna copy this just to have my set of curves to revert to in case I mess up this one. Alright, so I'm just gonna select this. I'm gonna hit Ctrl G on my keyboard, or Command G, to group these objects, and then I'm going to go to Window, Pathfinder, or you can just hit Ctrl or Command F9 on your keyboard and then select the divide. So once you hit that, you have just overlapped each and every individual line, and so they are now intersected into each other, which means they are no longer full circles but pieces. So if I just drag out this, that's a piece right there. If I drag out this, that's another piece right there. So there are no individual shapes. What we need to do is get rid of the excess shapes on the outside or in the negative space of the logo. So if we look over here, there's nothing here, there's just black, right? Or maybe what can help is if we draw a square, turn it to black, drop it behind. You can hit Command Shift open square bracket key to send it all the way behind, and then hit Command or Control 2 on your keyboard to lock it down. And this is just so you can see the lines better, so you can select them. And just using this as a reference, let me just select a different color so you can see. So just using this as a reference, you can see that there is nothing on the outside here. There are just the little heads popping up. So we need to delete what we don't need, which is this. We don't need that. This little piece inside here. I'm gonna skip forward to when I've completely deleted all the unnecessary lines, and then start the next part of this tutorial, I guess. Alright, now that we deleted the excess, the result is this clean white frame. Alright, the next step is to select your strokes or your objects. It's already grouped. If you haven't grouped it, you need to group it for this next step. Command G or Control G on your keyboard. Go to Object, Rise Paint, Make. Alright, you'll notice that your lines all become the same stroke width essentially, and that just means that you're now in live paint mode. And how do you know that? You go to your panel and select live paint, or you just hit K on your keyboard and you will see this weird fill bucket tool with a swatch over it, and you can just use your arrow keys to toggle in between the colors that you're gonna need to start filling in your Rio wireframe. And in this case, on this side, once you hover over it, you would see the area in which you want to fill becomes highlighted. So you just tap and fill the area. Tap and fill the area. Alright, so we are almost finished with the blue side of this. But I think there's a step we need to do first before we continue, which is to actually create the swatch that we're going to use in order to drop in our colors for the live paint. So very simple, just grab your shape tool by hitting M on your keyboard, drawing a shape, could be any size. If the stroke is selected, just hit Shift X to turn it into a fill, and then hold Alt. Once your move tool is selected, hold and select the shape, hold Alt, Shift, and just clone the shape that you've just created. After you've cloned the first one, you now have to just hit Command or Control D, and it would automatically clone another one without you having to redraw that shape again. So you just have a neat layout of your colors to come. And then, well, we already have the blue here. If you have a different color, what you do, you just select it, the color you want, pick it. It seems to be predominantly 3 colors only, even though it's made up of a gradient, like a transition from a brighter to darker of the original color. So there's yellow, there's blue, and then there's green. So I'm gonna select the green. Alright, well, you should probably select the darkest portion of the swatch, just to be safe when you're creating the gradient in the next steps to come. Alright, so we have our swatch. This is what the Rio logo is made up of: blue, green, and yellow. Alright, so we select that, we go over to our swatches, and this little folder down here, if you've never used that before, that folder is new color group. What it does, it creates a new color group, combines all the colors that you just selected and groups them into one, so you know exactly where they are in your swatch. In my case, I've already created a group and I named it Rio, so you can actually name them, so when you hover over your swatch, in the swatches you should see the name of it pop up. So in my case, Rio colors. Okay, so I have them there. And what I'm gonna do is hit K, and you can select from the color swatch or hit the arrow key until you browse through the color until you find it. But just hit K and then go to your swatch and select the color that you want to start with, and let's start filling in. So I'm gonna start with the blue side. You can start with whichever side you prefer. So if you hold, when you click, you can actually hold down when you click. I don't know if you're using a mouse or a Wacom pen tablet, but I'm using a Wacom pen tablet, a Cintiq to be precise. So you can actually click and drag, and it will automatically fill in the area, like dragging paint literally. Alright, so once you've done that, you can just hit your arrow key and just go to your next color and just continue to fill in. And if you might have noticed, I went over with the blue, but I didn't complain because I knew that even though the blue went on the yellow side, I was able to change it easily just by dragging on it. I just hit my arrow key. Now I have the green selected. I'm just going to drag the areas that I need to be filled in. The live paint will also fill in negative space, and what I mean by that, this circle inside here, even though you may have deleted the extra shapes from earlier, it still recognizes it as a space for color to be filled in, and you don't want that. So try to be a little bit careful when you're dragging your colors. I mean, clicking one by one might be the most effective way, but it's just a matter of preference. If you can control your hand, I guess you just go with that. I did not delete these lines, but I can still delete them now and it wouldn't affect my live paint. So just deleting these. We're almost there. Just gonna hit K again, select my Rio green. I'm gonna zoom in by hitting Command or Control space bar. Come in here and fill in the green. Fill in the colors. Alright, so I'm gonna skip forward to when I actually am finished putting in these colors. Alright, we're back with next stage of the tutorial. So you've competently filled in your colors and you should be left with something like this. Clean, isn't it? If you reach here, if you've reached thus far, congrats, you're cooking with gas. Alright, so at this point we need to get rid of the outlines. So by default your live paint group would all have the same stroke, so you don't need to go and select individual stroke and then deactivate the stroke by coming over here to this little icon. But I will show you a shortcut to get rid of it without having to travel all the way over there with your mouse or pen on your computer screen, because we want to make life easy, don't we? Alright, so you select the logo and the stroke should appear on the little icon to your left, whichever color you have it as, and you hit the / key and your stroke is gone and you should have something clean like this. What I forgot to point out, and I'm glad that I made that mishap, was before you delete your stroke you need to zoom in to carefully fill in your colors, because what I can see now, thankfully we have the black background behind, is to see where we did not fill in because we were so far zoomed out or our eyes couldn't pick up on that. So you could just simply undo. Well, if you undo, or if you're in that stage where you fill in the colors, I realize now that the stroke, because it's overlapping in some areas and it's so tiny, you're not going to be able to see them. So to get past that, what I'll do is take off the stroke like I just shown you, hit K to select your paint bucket tool and zoom in to the area. You can zoom in by hitting Z and then hitting K to get back to your paint bucket tool, or if you have your paint bucket paint bucket tool selected and you don't want to hit another button just to switch between, you can just hit Control or Command space bar and it will automatically toggle and revert you back to your paint bucket tool. Alright, those are some advanced shortcuts. Don't we just love them? So fill in those small areas by zooming in and correcting the spaces. Alright, just zoom in and correct these little things that look like artifacts, so we don't want that. Alright, looking good, looking good. That's green. Hitting my right arrow key to toggle in between the colors, or left, depending on which one I need to get. I don't think that should actually be there. I think that should be deleted. Alright, this logo has one tricky part, I think, based on the route we took to construct it. I'm just gonna hit wireframe to take a look on the inside to get to see your wireframe, the line work of the path that you use to create your logo. Just hit Command or Control Y and you can accurately see everything that's overlapping, every line that's constructed the line work for your logo, so you can see if anything is incorrect or missing. A good example would be if I selected this portion and deleted it, I know that that part of the logo is missing something and it looks wrong, so I'm just gonna undo. Alright, you can just hit Command Y to toggle out of that mode. Alright, so we have this. Looks pretty close to the logo, and I think that's what we want. In order for you to get the exact same thing, you're gonna have to spend some more time on this, because you're not gonna be able to create this using only circles, but I just figured that would be an easy start for you to get to the end result. Now, what I was mentioning earlier about the tricky part is this area right here, where the green touches the blue. The circles that we use to intersect each other in the pathfinding tool dividing technique would not have been able to create that particular shape on this particular area right here. So to work around that, what we're gonna need to do is to actually select the pen tool by hitting P, or you can come up in here and just select that little pen icon, and then we are going to use the red color for now that I have selected. You can use any color, just use a different color so you could see and provide a guide for yourself, and just go over onto the area that you need to overlap and just draw over. Just draw over. Hit the eyedropper tool, I on your keyboard, select that green, and we have something that's almost complete. Just gonna go in here and clean things up. I'm not gonna go through explaining how to use the pen tool. I could probably do that in the next tutorial. Let me know in the comments if I should probably do a tutorial for you on how to tame it, the pen tool, because it's not that simple to use, but at the same time it can be very simple. It might be hard in the beginning. And yeah, I'm just using the pen tool now to get my logo to look as similar as possible, because what's gonna end up happening, we're gonna need to merge these shapes. And don't worry about how distorted it looks, or the alignment, because it's out of alignment clearly in this area. So what we need to do, because we're still in the live paint, as you can see, if you hit K, we can still change the color of these things by clicking on them. Let me just undo that. Right, so select the object and we're going to go to object, expand, hit OK. Don't need to change any of those check marks. Now you cannot use the live paint tool anymore. We're not so fortunate. Now what we need to do is select all the green and merge them, and select all the individual colors, the specific colors. So all the yellows that are divided up, we need to make them into one, because as you can see, when I toggle into my wireframe mode, they aren't merged. Everything, they're still individual shapes. So if I hit my A tool, I can still drag out each and every individual thing, and we don't want that, especially if you're you are creating a logo and you intend to give this to the client. When they magnify it and it prints, you're gonna see where they intersect. Actually, we don't want that. So I'm just gonna undo that to get back here. To select all the green, we're just gonna hit the Y tool on your keyboard to get to Illustrator's magic wand and click on the color that you want to select. Now if you notice, you're going to select also, it selects only the same color or same fill or same stroke width, right? So if you have any other color outside of your artboard or around that's lingering that has the same color, you need to either lock it or delete it. So in this case, I see that my yellow up here was this color was selected along with this color I have in here inside the logo, and you don't want that distraction. Alright, so I'm gonna hide these for now, which is Command 3 on your keyboard or Control 3. And now I'm gonna hit my Y to get the magic wand, select all those colors, and the shortcut we learned earlier to find our pathfinder was Control Shift F9. I may have said Control F9, but it's Control Shift F9 to bring it up. And in this case, we are going to hit the first two squares on any shape modes that says shape and add to shape area. Click. Alright, and now we have one seamless shape. So we have our little man right here, and he's complete. Alright, and we're gonna do the same thing for those two other colors. Merge, merge, and we're good. And now this is where we're gonna correct the little bump we had earlier by selecting the node where that concave area seems to be, and we're gonna hit the N tool back to select a pencil, holding down the Alt key and drag, and you should be able to correct it somewhat. Just drag until you see it starts to change, and then you can just select the nodes individually and drag them out until you're satisfied. I recommend that you zoom in to do this to get the best result. You just always have to zoom in and zoom out to be as precise and as clean as possible, because you miss things when you are zoomed out, because you always want to focus. You naturally want to see the end result while you're working on from a distance, but that's a habit that I suggest that we break out of and learn to zoom in to get as precise as possible. It's almost almost the way we want it. Alright, now that we have our shape, everything is clean and a little bit tweaked so that we have our shapes overlapping in a manner that resembles the logo. Now, the final part and the most fun part for me is putting in the gradient, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So open up your swatch and your gradient and just drag these out so that you're closer, so you don't have to travel so far to get your colors. I'm just going to attach this right here, merge them into one panel. Okay, and by default we seem to already have a gradient that looks similar to the centerpiece of the logo right here. So if we go up here, it's right there. Alright, so we're going to use the direct selection tool, select the centerpiece for our yellow, click on the gradient, and wow, it looks almost exactly like the original logo. Alright, I'm just going to select this select portion and then use the eyedropper tool, select it, and what has happened is that the direction of the gradient is the opposite of the logo, so what we need to do is change the direction. So we're just going to click on it, select it, hit G on your keyboard, and the gradient slider should appear if you're using CS5 or older, and you just hit the reverse gradient in the panel, in the gradient panel over here. So just click that and the direction should change, and if you go to the edge of the gradient slider, a rotation icon should appear and you can rotate it to match our reference as close as you possibly can. Alright, so you can just drag it, and you can also delete the sliders if you need to, or edit them. So that looks close to me. I'm gonna tweak this one so that it's close as well. I'm just gonna rotate on, well, maybe carry it that way. Okay, yeah, it seems to be more a little red hue at the top, so I'm going to delete this slider by simply holding and dragging, literally pulling it off the slider. Then I'm going to hold Alt and come by one of the red ones and hold Alt and drag to clone it upwards to the top portion of the arm. So now I have a little red inside there. Okay, that looks close to me. The little tweak should be alright. Drag the sliders up some more. Don't want to make it too rich. Alright, that's fine. Alright, I don't see this blue in my swatch. Don't know why. Anyway, I'm just gonna put it back. It's back there. Alright. Now, because we don't have the default gradient for the blue portion of the logo and the green, we need to create those gradients ourselves. So what we need to do is select the dark and light parts of the logo. We already have the light parts from earlier highlighted up here. We need to get the darker portion. So I'm just going to select these, copy, just drag, Alt and drag, and then select, I don't need the yellow, so I'm just going to delete that. Then select the darker portion of those colors remaining. Alright, and it seems I have this one in my swatch already. I'm just gonna add that one. Okay, let's click on the green, or you can click on the blue, whichever. Come into the gradient panel, this little drop down triangle, and just select the default gradient, which is black and white. And then we're gonna drag the darkest color to the black ink slider, just like that. And then we're gonna drag the light one into the white slider, just like that. Alright, and then we can change the rotation again to match theirs. Okay, they seem to have the brightest color in the center and the darkest at the top and bottom. So like I showed you all earlier, just select the ink cartridge and then hold Alt and then drag, and you should have it. And you can drag this little nose to change the spacing in between individually. That seems close to me. By changing this little white slider, you can bring the gradients, the colors as close as possible to one another without spacing them out, if you understand what that means. So you can kind of give the logo a bit of gloss if you wanted to. Let me deselect so you can see. But we don't want the gloss, we want it to resemble the logo. Alright, come over here, repeat the same process, select the default gradient from the down arrow, and then we're going to drag our light color, the light blue, to the white, and then the dark blue to the black ink slider, like so, and repeat the same process after hitting the G key to get your gradient slider. So we need a dark color at the top, so we're going to grab the dark ink cartridge, alt click and drag, and we have it. And we probably need to change the spacing between to get it right, and just play around with the sliders until you get it. Alright, that seems pretty close to me, guys. We're at the end of this tutorial. Now I'm going to show you something just to make your work appear a bit cleaner. I mean, if in case you were presenting a similar, well, your logo to a client, what I normally would do is just put it on a nice clean background. I'm just going to go into my layers and hide the unnecessary stuff. Control or Command 3, just so I can just hide things that I don't need to see on my board to clean things up. My whiteboard that you were looking at, I was in that mode by hitting Control Shift H, so I just re-hit those keys to see my artboard. I'm gonna unlock the black that we used from the beginning of this tutorial. Command Alt 2 or Control Alt 2 is selected by default, and I'm just gonna drag it to the size of my artboard, or just hit Command or Control Y so I can see my artboard and size it. Quick way to do this would be to just use the marquee tool, click, and then put in the shape of your artboard, like so, like that. But we already have it. And then just group it back, Shift F7 to bring up the align panel, and show options from the little triangle and the squiggly, well, lines. Click align to artboard, center vertically, center horizontally. We just click on our black and we can change the color to anything we want to, the fill. Of course, you're not going to change it to the colors that are in the logo, or else you won't see it as well. Maybe black is the best. Let's try that gradient and put a radial on it. Maybe, maybe not. Alright, that seems to be working. And then if you would have found a font, then we just come down here and type in Rio 2016, hit E to change the size of your object, and hold Shift to constrain when you're dragging. Hit D on your keyboard to turn to the default, and to toggle between the default colors you simply hit X and you will see toggle between the black and white, but you want the stroke to be selected, so hit X until the stroke is in front, then hit the / key to deactivate the stroke. And this is not the correct font, but I'm just going to change this to all caps by going to type in the menu, change case, uppercase, and I'm going to select the blue that we created earlier and just change the font to something round let's see, rush script, but you get the point. So if we had the correct font, we would have just placed it underneath and then type in TM, use Arial, select the blue from the swatches and simply drag it to the front, and we would have had the logo. But we don't have the font, so we're just going to work with what we have, and that's how we would have created the complete logo. However, I could probably draw it out, but this was just to show you how to create the more complex portion of the logo. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please like, comment, subscribe, share my video. My name is Sonali. Thank you.